If you watched the previous video, you would have seen me talk about attachment styles, right? And what they really are about. If you haven't, you should go watch that previous video. But what I want to talk to you about today is boundaries in relation to the attachment style, because boundaries can be something, if healthily used, can support a beautiful relationship and help more connection and love between people. And if unhealthily used, boundaries can be the reason that your relationship is probably breaking up, or that your patterns continuously exist with all of the relationships. So what I want to talk about here is two different attachment styles: the anxious and the avoidant, and how the anxious and the avoidant actually both use and misuse boundaries. So the first thing you need to know is that anxious attachments generally have almost no boundaries. They have a very difficult time drawing boundaries in their lives, and avoidant draw way too many boundaries. Because of this combination, they both not only attract each other, but unfortunately, they both keep breaking down their relationships. So if you're an anxious attacher, look into your own life. When you're in romantic relationships, are you someone who's good at saying no? Are you someone who's good at drawing a boundary? Are you someone who's good at, not being used, or not like needing to people please and burn out and expend yourself? Probably not, because anxious attachers have a terrible time drawing that boundary. Now, why is that? Why do you have a terrible time drawing a boundary? Because what an anxious attacher really needs, what is the core of what their needs are? They need to be externally loved. And I use this word externally very carefully. They need to be externally loved. They need to be validated by the person that they're with, or people around them, more likely in a relationship, by the person they're with. They need to be and feel chosen by someone else. And so, in all of these cases, right, if they are not feeling like they're loved, they're not chosen, they're not validated, and they have someone else that could do that with them, if they draw a boundary, it reduces, or if you draw a boundary, it reduces your chance of getting that love from the outside. This is what your brain thinks, this is what your mind is going through, your wounded coping mechanism mind. Watch the previous video for coping mechanisms. So you will, in order to receive love, because you want it so bad, you will abandon any sort of boundary. You will give and give and give and give and give, hoping that you will get love. Doesn't happen. You will please and please and please. Doesn't happen. You will hold on to someone because you think that by proving your love, they will be able to love you back. Doesn't happen. Ultimately, it all leads to you abandoning yourself. Now, let's take the avoidant. The avoidant draws too many boundaries. Why is that? Because for the avoidant, a sense of emotional intimacy is very scary. Again, in the previous video, I talked to you about why emotional avoidance is very scary for avoidance. Why? Yeah, emotional intimacy. Yes. So go back and watch the video if you haven't already. But for an avoidant, they internally hold a lot of space for themselves. In fact, they do it to a point where they overcompensate and cut out from the external love, connection with anybody else. So if having a healthy relationship with you and even having love is scary for them, because I talked about their past in the previous video, if having that sense of love is scary for them, that sense of connection is scary for them, then what they will do is they will draw as many boundaries as they can to not get to that point of vulnerability. This is why sometimes anxious attachers especially can't understand why avoidants jump in the first step. They jump in with 2 feet and they'll say, yeah, let's get into this relationship. But the moment things become real, right? Have you noticed? That's when they just abandon everybody. That's when they just pull away. That's when they draw all of these boundaries. And it's because in both cases, it's not really about just the emotional intimacy. It's about not having received healthy emotional intimacy, not having received healthy meeting of your needs in both cases when you were really young, when you were a developing child and you were learning all about yourself. In fact, research shows that everything you learn about yourself when you're really young, including whether you were got your needs met and you were validated and chosen and loved or not, that is what you continue the rest of your life after the age of 18. And it's all because of the laws of the subconscious mind. So all of these wounds, these fears of the anxious attachment, not being loved, not being chosen, not being wanted, all of the fears and wounds of the avoidant, where, oh my God, it's going to be overwhelming. Ultimately, I'm going to be rejected again. And so I just don't want to get into a relationship that's not safe. all of them simply just live in your subconscious mind. And unless you learn to do the healing and break those patterns, these wounds will keep dictating your relationship and create these patterns where ultimately your relationships will end, just so you can continue having these mechanisms over and over and over again. So the only way you really can break these patterns is by healing the subconscious mind and the wounds that lie in there. By the way, I've got a fancy new camera that keeps tracking my movement, so don't be distracted. I love it though. And to do that level of subconscious healing, you have to go through the right process, be in the right space, work with the right kind of people. That is exactly what we do in our 8-week program called the Gauntlet. We do the subconscious healing. We even do the reparenting. The reparenting is going back to that little child self and learning to give them and help them meet the needs that never were met. And now, why is that important to you? Why do you care about that? Because what happens is you start to feel more whole and loved inside you. You feel more safe and secure because your needs are starting to be met through this process. And in turn, you no longer need to cling on to someone, to abandon your boundaries, to people please, to let go of yourself, to run away from intimacy, because you're learning to heal those wounds that are creating that. And once those wounds are all healed and soothed and settled, then your life completely changes. You have no choice but to attract healthy love into your life. So if you want to break these patterns and you want to work with me on this, which I really, really, from the bottom of my heart, I just open out to you because my mission is to give people the kind of healing that they haven't gotten in therapy, that they haven't gotten for most of their lives, and they've spent thousands of dollars and like so much time. I want to give you all of that healing in 8 weeks in this program, but we only have limited spots. So if you want to learn more about this program, really about the entire process, how it can change your life, what it can do for you, click on the link below to learn about the Gauntlet and to apply for an opportunity or to sign up for this program, because we can only take that many people in because this is a really intense, beautiful, life-changing program. So if you want to do this kind of healing with me, if you want to be able to ultimately draw the kind of boundaries you need, or to, if you're an avoidant, to be more vulnerable and like trust yourself, trust life that it'll work out, you have to do the healing of those wounds. And that's what I invite you to come do in my space in the Gauntlet. So click on the link below to learn more and to sign up.